Hello and welcome to my Northern Premier League Midland Division review, your weekly home for everything in the MPR Midlands. I'm David Garton. I'll be breaking down all the results from the past week, analysing all the talking points, and looking how the table is shaping up and looking ahead to the next round of games. Firstly, I'd like to discuss some talking points that I've seen across the week that have caught my attention. Not a lot to talk about this week. I think I may have missed a few things, so if I've missed anything, please let me know. So, we had a managerial departure. So my phone beeped, notification went off, and I sat there and I thought, oh, blimey, Racing Club Warwick has sacked the manager. But no, they haven't. So Scott Easterlow has resigned from his position. He's moved over to Leamington FC, I believe a step 3 at the moment, bottom of the table, but it's still a step in the right direction for him. Excuse me, get my words out there. So he's gone up a couple of divisions. Also, alongside his assistant manager, Callum Ingram, and coach Gary Ingram as well, who's joined him. Sorry, Step 2 club, joined him at Step 2 club. So it's a 2-division jump for Leamington. So he's now moved on. Racing Club Warwick haven't messed around. They've brought in their replacement already. So I'll just read that quote to actually get it right. Racing Club Warwick are delighted to announce the appointment of Jack Edwards and Chris Knott as the club's new joint first-team managers. Jack joined the club in the summer from Leamington following a 11-year spell in which he made 465 appearances for the club. Since arriving at Townsend Meadow, Jack has continued to be a key figure for the Racers, made 31 appearances this season. Chris Knott joins alongside Jack. Chris was unfortunately forced to retire playing at the age of 26. He began his management journey at Knoll, initially working with the reserves before progressing to assistant manager and then first-team manager. He later stepped away from football, the role, to focus on further coaching qualifications, which has obviously proven to have worked. So Racing Club Warwick have new managers in there. Obviously, the form this season, Christmas time, they're in the playoffs. They've dropped off now. I did think when I saw that they changed manager, they had fired the manager due to the bad form, which I did think seemed a bit of a surprise. But obviously, they've been forced to make the decision now to move on. So it'll be interesting to see how Racing Club Warwick go forward with the results. Okay, Basford. Basford United, get me words out there. I noticed on their Twitter page or X page, Tyrese Palmer is back in the starting 11 for the first time. He received an injury against Hucknall Town on August 16th, and it's been 155 days. So Basford are very pleased to have him back in this squad playing again. But we'll stay with Basford. They were delighted to announce the signing of Brad Wilson. The defender joins from Anstey Nomads, and he was available for selection straight away. Manager Martin Carruthers said it was great to add another experienced defender to the ranks with Brad, especially with the deadline fast approaching. Another bit I saw was Long Eaton United. So they confirmed that midfielder Coden Duncan has today parted from the club. Coden had made a total of 29 league and cup appearances this season. They'd like to thank Coden for his efforts whilst at Long Eaton United and wish him well in the future. Rugby Town had 2 signings. I think they announced this late Friday or Saturday morning. So they were pleased to announce 2 new signings. Striker Tyler Brook joined on a 28 loan from Redditch United, and defender Bo Morris signed on dual registration from Stratford Town. So we will look at the results from the past week. We will start with Tuesday's fixtures. So on Tuesday, AFC Rushden Diamonds, who are pushing for a playoff place, took on Coventry Sphinx, who are struggling at the wrong end of the table. This finished 2-1 to Rushden Diamonds. Damien Kelly gave Coventry Sphinx the lead in the first half. I think it was the 23rd minute. I've lost my note on here for some reason. But then Rushden Diamonds came back on the 43rd minute when Jordan O'Brien scored to make it 1-1. Then in the second half, Tyler Winters scored in the 71st minute to give Rushden Diamonds all 3 points. The next fixture on Tuesday was Anstey Nomads versus Mickleover. So Anstey, who are pushing Carlton Town at the moment, at the top of the table, came away 3-1 winners. It was Jordan Annable that gave the Nomads the lead on the 19th minute. Therefore, Lewis Rose to score in the 59th minute upon his return to the club. Then we had Henry Bestwick was given a red card on the 84th minute. But that didn't stop the Nomads going into a 3-0 lead when Leo Murphy made it 3-0 on the 87th minute. But Mickleover did get one back on the 96th minute when Manny Norkit got a consolation goal. I would say struggling Boldmere, but Boldmere are doing very well at the moment. So Boldmere, who have been at the wrong end of the table, took on Long Eaton United. Boldmere managed to win this 3-1. So new recruit, one of the latest recruits, James Tague, who I thought was a great signing for Boldmere, gave them the lead on the 11th minute to make it 1-0. I don't know who scored next, actually. I think it might have been Boldmere, because both goals were scored in the 15th minute. So we'll go with Fraser Doyle, made it 2-0. to Boldmere. And then Evan Garnett scored on the 15th minute as well to make it 2-1 into the break. And then James Tate got his second of the day on the 68th minute to make it 3-1 to give Boldmere all 3 points. We had a game on Wednesday, which was Corby Town versus Wellingborough. Jack O'Connor scored for Wellingborough Town on the 18th minute to make it 1-0. Then Jordan Crawford, the other captain, both captains, scored on the 58th minute to make it 1-1 to share the points. Right, so we'll have a look at the games from Saturday now. So on Saturday, we'll start with Rushden Diamonds, took on Boldmere St Michaels. So Rushden Diamonds, who've been pushing for the playoffs, Boldmere, who are pushing away from the wrong end of the table at the moment, faced off against each other. So it was AFC Rushden Diamonds who took the lead on the 23rd minute when Joel Nikita, the captain, scored. There was no other goals in the first half, but then in the second half, Boldmere obviously came out strong. James Tate got the equaliser for Boldmere on the 51st minute. Then Kyle Byrne scored in the 74th minute. And then we had a third goal from Connor Armstrong to make it 3-1. So 3-1 to Boldmere there. I did see, and somebody shared this online as well, that Rushden Diamonds got 8 yellow cards in that game. So I'm not too sure whether the referee was maybe a bit card happy possibly, or whether it was just one of those games where it just got a bit rough. So I wonder if they'll have any suspensions coming up from those yellow cards. We move on to Basford versus Coventry Sphinx. So Basford, who are nicely settled in the playoff positions, took on Coventry Sphinx, who are struggling down the wrong end of the table at the moment. But it was Coventry Sphinx that took the lead on the 37th minute when Damien Kelly scored, which made it 1-0 into the break. The second half, Nathaniel Peters scored for Basford to make it 1-1 on the 48th minute. Then Tyrese Palmer scored in the 55th minute to get all 3 points for Basford United. Bedworth United versus Anstey Nomads. This is a game that I covered. Quite an enjoyable game of football. So Bedworth United, again, who are struggling at the wrong end of the table, took on second place Anstey Nomads, who are trying to push Carlton Town for that promotion place at the moment. 0-0 at the break. It was a, how do I describe it? A game of half chances in the first half, really. No real clear kind of cut chances. But it was Lewis Rose who took the lead on the 57th minute. Bedworth United couldn't get their lines cleared. It was corner after corner, lots of pressure. The ball wasn't cleared away. Rose was there just to tap it away. But then late in the game, we had a bit of an issue kind of mid-half in the second half. I think it was Bestwick. Didn't get a free kick, was quite disgruntled with the referee and decided to lunge at one of the Bedworth players, which I thought was quite a nasty challenge. I think another day that would have been a red card, but he got away with just a yellow. But later on, we did have a second yellow card for somebody. So Bedworth United on the attack. Couldn't capitalise. Nomads had a counter-attack, ran down the pitch. Oscar Barry was there, leaned on the striker in the box. It was a clear penalty all day long. Second yellow card. Corey Grantham then stood up, dispatched it beautifully into the top right-hand corner of the goal. It was a nicely dispatched penalty. Made it 2-0 to the Nomads. They took all 3 points. The pressure on Carlton still continues at the top. We then had Bourne Town versus Lichfield City. Now, Bourne Town, who can't stop scoring at the moment. I don't know what they've done with their players, but they're doing something right because they know where the back of the net is. Took on Lichfield City, whose form has been a bit all over the place at the moment. But it was Lichfield City that took the lead on the first minute with Jude Taylor scoring. Bourne Town would soon equalise to make it 1-1 on the 22nd minute. And then Zach Allen, the captain, scored in the 46th minute to make it 2-1 to Bourne Town. So at that point, you're thinking Bourne Town, who can't stop scoring, may go on to win this. But no, Callum Griffin scored in the 52nd minute to make it 2-2. Then Jack Edwards scored for Lichfield City to make it 3-2. For Lichfield City to take all 3 points. Hopefully they can get their season back on track now. Right, so Carlton Town versus Corby Town. Plenty of goals in this one. So Carlton Town, who are clear at top at the moment, took on Corby Town, who are kind of in that kind of mid-range at the moment, kind of not going up, not going down. Although when we look at the table, it's not looking too good if teams below them get a bit of form. So I'll start by saying this finished 6-1 to Carlton Town, because I'm going to lose my way with this one, I think. So Oliver Clark scored for Carlton Town in the 11th minute to make it 1-0. Hugh Dawson made it 2-0 on the 33rd minute. Then Lamin Mena made it a 3-0 on the 38th minute. So going into the break, it was a 3-0. Ashley Chambers then scored in the 49th minute. to make it 4-0. I'm losing track here. Then Lamin Mena scored in the 53rd and the 57th minute to make it 6-1. So Lamin Mena got a hat-trick. But then Corby Town didn't sit down and just take that. They got a consolation goal on the 78th minute when the captain Jordan Crawford scored. So a very good victory there for Carlton Town. We then move on to Racing Club Warwick versus Wellingborough Town. So Racing Club Warwick, who have lost form recently, took on high-flying Wellingborough, who are just outside the playoffs. Obviously, Racing Club Warwick with their new management team in place. Wellingborough Town took the lead on the 24th minute when Will Jones scored. Racing Club Warwick then got one back when Aaron Apoku scored in the 48th minute. Then Cameron Ebbett scored in the 75th minute, get my words out there, to make it 2-1 to give the new management team all 3 points on their debut. Rugby Borough took on Belper Town. So Rugby Borough, who are kind of in that kind of zone again, where kind of not going up, not going down at the moment, as it seems. Took on Belper Town, who seem quite settled in the playoffs at the moment. But it was Belper Town that took all 3 points when Ian Evans scored in the 69th minute to give them all 3 points. Rugby Town, who are struggling at the wrong end of the table, took on Long Eaton United, whose form is all over the place at the moment. Trying to predict their results at the moment is it's unbelievably difficult because they've got such a good team, but they just can't seem to get there. But I won't divulge into that just now. So this finished 2-1 to Long Eaton United. Now, if you bear me a second, I've lost one of my goal scorers here on me notes. So let me get the notes in front of me again. So it was Long Eaton United that took the lead on the 21st minute when Tristan Thomas Matthews scored. But Rugby Town would get an equaliser on the 45th minute from Tyler Brook, who's recently just signed, as I mentioned earlier. But Long Eaton managed to take all 3 points when Javen Davidson Miller, I think that's how you say his name, scored in the 53rd minute to give Long Eaton all 3 points. Let's go back there because I'm going to need to get back into that screen in a minute. I've just lost it. The joys of technology, hey? Okay, Shepshed Dynamo. So Shepshed, who is still pushing up the right end of the table, took on Mickleover, who were in the similar position. Let's have a look. They were near each other on the points before the game. So there we go. So this finished 1-0 to Shepshed Dynamo. Aaron Corporal, the pacey winger, scored in the 34th minute to give them all 3 points. We then move on to St Neots Town versus Loughborough Students. So St Neots Town, who were bottom of the table against struggling Loughborough, who were in the relegation zone as well. So it was St Neots who took the lead on the 9th minute when MJ Muembe, I think I say his name, scored to make it 1-0. Loughborough Students would then make it 1-1 on the 17th minute when Ben Royal scored. Harvey Henderson scored in the 47th minute to make it 3-1 to St Neots. And then a minute later, captain Robbie Parker would score in the 48th minute to make it 3-1. But Loughborough Students weren't finished there. Alex Pateri scored in the 67th minute to make it 3-2, but they were then able to make it 3-3 to take any points. That finished 3-2, so all points went to St Neots in that relegation battle. Sutton Coldfield Town took on high-flying Coleshill Town. This finished 1-0 to Coleshill Town. Daniel Brooks with the goal on the 76th minute to keep Coleshill Town in the playoff positions. Right, so we'll take a look at the table in a moment, but as it stands, Carlton Town are on top with 76 points, 11 points clear following their big win over Corby Town. Anstey have cut the lead to 11 points now with their win over Bedworth United, but no longer have any more games in hand over Carlton, so it's going to be an hour foot race who can get the best results to the end of the season, I think, but between those two teams. The playoffs are still the same teams. Coleshill now 4 points clear of 6th place. Wellingborough, Rushden Diamonds and Wellingborough failed to get any points on Saturday to cut the gap as well. So we'll take a quick look at the top end of the table. So we've got Carlton on 76, Anstey on 65, Basford 61, Belper 56, Coleshill 56. So that's your top and your playoff positions. So we then go down a little bit more to see who's kind of in the chase for the playoffs. So we've got Wellingborough Town at the moment on 52. Rushden Diamonds, who lost on 50, but they've only played 33 games. Alongside Shepshed Dynamo, who've got 48 points, played 33 games. So they've got a couple of games in hand. So if they can get the right results there, they can really push that playoff space. There's not a lot of difference there. Lichfield City, following their victory on 48 points as well. Racing Club Warwick on 47. So maybe their promotion chase for the season could be rectified and turned around. Long Eaton United on 46, Mickleover on 46. And then you've got Boldmere, who were in massive relegation trouble recently. 4 wins in a row and now on 46 points. So it just shows how tight this table is this season, which is absolutely unbelievable. We'll take a look at the bottom end of the table. So once again, it's tight at the bottom, just as at the top. I've just mentioned Boldmere, who've got 3 points. I think they're safe now. They've got so many games to go. I just think their form, the way they're going, they're in no danger of going down. Obviously, when we look at the bottom 9 teams, who I think possibly are in danger of the drop, apart from St Neots, all teams lost. So really, there's no real change at the bottom of the end of the table. But we will take a look at the bottom of the table anyway. So St Neots' victory gets them off the bottom of the table with a game in hand as well, but pushes Rugby Town to the bottom, who've been really struggling recently. You then got St Neots obviously in 21st place, 34 games, 34 points. Get my words out there. Loughborough Students, 34 points. Bourne Town, 36 points, but do have a game in hand. Bedworth United sitting just outside the playoff places on 37. Coventry Sphinx on 40. Sutton Coldfield Town on 43. Corby Town 44, Rugby Borough 44. I do think from Rugby Town to Rugby Borough, the two rugbies, 4 of those teams will get relegated. I think realistically, it's probably going to be the bottom 6, which is Sphinx, Bedworth, Bourne, Loughborough, Neots, Rugby Town, who are the ones who are probably in the most danger. But it just goes to show when you look at Boldmere, a couple of victories, and suddenly you're up there. So if those teams at the bottom can get some victories, Boldmere aren't quite safe. I've been saying 46, 48 points. I'm now thinking 50, 52. I just it's unbelievable. When 52 is 6th place at the moment, I've never seen a league so tight ever. But there we go. So we'll move on to what we have coming up next. We've got 5 midweek games to enjoy this week. So 5 games, lots of football this week. So on Tuesday, promotion chasing Anstey Nomads take on relegation threatening Bourne Town. Rushden Diamonds take on St Neots, and Sphinx take on Racing Club Warwick. So the bottom end could be clear by the end of the evening, whilst Carlton Town want to maintain their grip on top spot by taking on Mickleover. Tuesday, we've got Corby Town take on Shepshed Dynamo, who still have a chance of getting the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see whether Corby can bounce back from the heavy defeat they had at the weekend. And we then have a full We then have a full roundup of games on Saturday. My pick is Rugby Town versus Bourne Town, massive game in the relegation zone, and Coleshill Town versus Carlton Town. Because Coleshill Town, although they don't score me, they don't concede me, they're a very strong team at the moment. I think they are going to get that player place. Will Carlton drop some points, and can Anstey Nomads take advantage of that? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go through the fixtures. I'm going to give some predictions. I got a couple right this week, which I was quite surprised with. So let's see if I can get some more right. So Tuesday, Rushden Diamonds versus St Neots. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Rushden Diamonds in this one. I know Neots may have got a victory recently, but I think Rushden Diamonds are going to try push for that playoff place. Anstey Nomads versus Bourne Town. Anstey Nomads, I mean, I saw them at the weekend. I thought they were quite a strong team. They don't seem like they've got lots of goals in them, the team that they played, but they had a very good presence with them. So I think that's going to be 2-1 to Anstey Nomads. Carlton Town versus Mickleover. I think this is going to be a 3-0 victory to Carlton Town. I'm sure Mickleover fans won't be happy hearing that. Coventry Sphinx versus Racing Club Warwick. I think Coventry Sphinx are going to be in a bit of trouble still. Racing Club Warwick are going to have that new manager bounce again. I think they're going to win that 2-1. Then on Wednesday, we've got Corby Town versus Shepshed Dynamo. I'm going for 3-0 to Shepshed Dynamo here. So Corby Town fans won't be happy at all with that. But I think that's going to be one-way traffic on that game. We then run to the Saturday games. So we'll start with Anstey Nomads versus Rugby Borough. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Anstey Nomads on that one. Seems a lot of 2s in there for Anstey Nomads at the moment. Belper Town versus Sutton Coldfield Town. I think that's going to be 2-1 or 3-0 to Belper Town. Boldmere versus St Neots. The way Boldmere are playing at the moment, I can see one-way traffic here, 3-0 to Boldmere. And I think if Boldmere get that puts them on 49. I would say that would be Boldmere safe for another season. Coleshill Town versus Carlton Town. I think Carlton Town may drop some points here. I think it's going to be 3-2 to Coleshill Town. I'd like to prove me right in this prediction, but I'm sure I'm going to be wrong. Corby Town versus Bedworth United. Corby lost 6-1 at the weekend. They've got a difficult game midweek, and then they've got a game on Saturday. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Bedworth United. It's going to be a tight game. Could be a draw, but I'm going to edge that Bedworth are going to get the edge on that one. Coventry Sphinx versus Shepshed Dynamo. I've gone for 0-0 on this one. I think Coventry Sphinx are going to pick up some points, home advantage. Shepshed are a bit up and down, so I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. Lichfield City versus Basford. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Basford. They're going to cement their place in the playoffs. The Students versus Rushden Diamonds. Again, I think Rushden Diamonds are going to be too strong for the Students. I'm going to go 1-0, 2-0 to Rushden Diamonds in that one. Mickleover versus Racing Club Warwick. Now, I'm not too sure where this one's going to go because Racing Club Warwick may still have that new manager bounce. I said 2-1 to Mickleover, but I'm starting to edge actually 2-1 to Racing Club Warwick. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw because I can't make my mind up on that one. Rugby Town versus Bourne Town. As I do some work for Bedworth United, I think my mindset here is 2-2 would be a really good result. Both teams not getting enough to get out of the relegation zone. I mean, home advantage Rugby Town. Bourne Town can't stop scoring, but they do concede goals. I have no idea which way that's going to go, but I'm going to go 2-2 draw. Wellingborough Town versus Long Eaton United. I'm going to go 2-1 to Wellingborough just because home advantage. Long Eaton are up and down with their form at the moment. Wellingborough, if they are going to get in the playoffs, need to start winning. So I think this is the time for them to do it. Right, so if anyone wants to make any comments to me, send me any messages to say, oh, I'm an idiot for getting these scores right or wrong, please feel free to do so, and please let me know what you think the score's going to be. So I've not had a chance to watch any highlights this week, being Mother's Day today when I've recorded this. Busy day, so I've had to put some time elsewhere. So just want to mention the clubs who played at home this week who most likely will put highlights out. So you can all go off and enjoy the highlights of the games. And I recommend, please, I do the highlights from Bedworth United. Please go watch these highlights because people do put a lot of hard work into these. So Basford should put highlights out. They haven't done it as of recording this video. So please check out their YouTube channel. Bedworth United, me. I've already put out the YouTube video for that. So please check out the Bedworth United highlights. Bourne Town, their highlights are already on YouTube. Please check out their highlights. Coleshill Town, their highlights are on YouTube as well. Please check out their highlights. Racing Club Warwick, they are the fastest to get the highlights out. I know they're only 5 or 6 minutes long, but bang, they get them out every single week. Fair play to them. So they're there to be viewed. Rugby Borough normally do it via Rugby Borough TV on YouTube. They haven't put any highlights out yet, but they should do. Rugby Town, normally a couple of days after the game, they do the highlights as well. Please check those out. Shepshed Dynamo, they put their highlights via their website, so please check that out. St Neots haven't put any highlights out yet because it was at home. I think they will. So again, go to the YouTube channels, go to social media platforms. Please check out the highlights. Share the videos with people so we can get highlights across the league, so people can enjoy it, because you know it's not everyone can make the games every time, and there's fans out there who still need to enjoy football who live locally. So that's just my little plug for the people up in the south who do highlights. So that's it for this week in my review of the Northern Premier League Midlands Division. Hope you've enjoyed this show. Make sure you like, subscribe and share. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments below. You can always message me directly. I'm happy to talk to any football fans who want to talk about non-league football. Anyway, that's enough for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.